My name is Rhapsody, his name is sneakyteak, and welcome back to Ladder Streak for another week. How's it going, bud?
It's going awesome, boss. I am in full late night chill vibes, like just on a 48-hour continuation of atmospheric stream vibes. So I'm here and I'm ready to play.
It's gonna be a little bit of a different vibe than the atmospheric game stream.
Defect can chill.
Defect definitely can chill. Let's do some chilling stuff.
If anyone can do it.
Seems like a good idea to me. Obtain a colorless card, 18 for 250. There is a shop in the next area. In fact, there's two shops super early on if we want to be very, very choosy.
Are we still max elites for this
max
cycle?
elite path.
Let's go, baby. All right. That's a lot of money. It's pretty hard to say no to that start.
It is. Just build your own
and then
start
3
from the
fights.
shops. Oh, do we want to do the 3 fights for the shop rather than the individual shop?
Yep. I think that's the path I would take, because then you get to know what's missing from your deck.
That's a good point, well made. I would usually try and go for the inverse of finding something and then trying to build around it, but that's less of a thing you want to do in the higher Ascensions, or at least especially against the heart.
Yeah. Where did you pick up that phrase, by the way? I've noticed that many times, and I quite like it. That's a good point, well made. You say this frequently. Where did you acquire this?
Oh God. I know it as well. It's tucked away in there. Good point, well made. Good point, well made. It's a British comedian. Good point, well made. It's Jimmy Carr, actually. Good point, well made is one of the rejoinders he hands back to a heckler in one of the shows where he has asked the hecklers to heckle.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
I don't know why, it just stuck its way in my head. I will always remember.
I love that defend there, by the way. In the back of my head, I was calcing out if you can get away with it, and you can almost always get away with it, especially on this Ascension.
Yeah, it was the dual cast definitely being in the next cycle that made it pretty comfy. Obviously, if we took extra cards or if we had Ascension, the Ascender's Bane in the deck, that would change the math a little bit. But it was definitely comfortable there.
So do you take the early turbo?
I know you want the turbo. I love Equilibrium early, but I'm keen on taking a turbo. I'm fine with it. We may find some way to utilize the energy exceedingly effectively upcoming.
Who is our boss?
Our boss is Slime Boss.
So I think that if I'm fighting Guardian, I take this EQ a lot higher. And the reason is that Guardian of the first bosses is a consistency and defense check, right? Hexaghost is a race, and Slime Boss is, can you either survive Crush or win early? Can you not choose Silent is maybe what the test is for Slime Boss. And it's like the best speedrun boss.
I'll say we're very successful at that so far.
Yes, and fingies crossed, toes crossed. Yeah, absolutely. So I like Equilibrium a lot, and if you're keen on it, we can certainly take it. It's also turbo.
I like
There's our energy solved for the act.
That's fine.
We can do it all.
Should I have? No, that wouldn't have changed the outcome anyway.
That's
Just
perfect.
trying to see if there was any outcome there that would have gotten us double kills on the turn 1 or no damage taken. Streamline is damage. Sometimes it might be required for us to get through 3 elites as well.
Do you ever take and upgrade the sweeping beam here?
Ooh.
With Slime Boss, with the turbo?
Turbo, because the energy, the effect that it replaces itself. It's really good in the Sentinel fight as well. You have 2 fights after the first upgrade opportunity.
Sentinels of the Spireverse. So I love the Streamline, and it's a single stop solution for damage early on, and sometimes it continues to be relevant later. But Sweeping Beam pairing very nicely here, and honestly, it just smooths the path of some of the AoE fights in the act too, even non-elites, which we still have some of.
Yeah, the 4 gremlins is pretty rough.
Yeah.
One thing that is swinging me a little bit more towards the Sweeping Beam and the possible upgrade thereafter is just, although, you know, I think it's quite likely we find another card that we want to upgrade as a higher priority than the Sweeping Beam before we actually get here. But it's the next floor, right? Next floor I want, especially against max elites, I want a Sweeping Beam so that I can cut through the gremlins. I want a Sweeping Beam so I can cut through the slavers.
Yep.
I don't really feel good about using a single Streamline on a single gremlin in one of those fights, especially if I have to use another strike afterwards to clear it out. Let's do it.
It's almost too slow. I think Max Elites is flavoring that might be the single thing that Max Elites has pushed me towards the most, is that we could go left and try to get money there, maybe. But I also like double fights. I take a lot more simple AoE than I used to because of Gremlin Leader, Tri-Slavers, Reptomancer. Those fights are nasty enough that if you're taking them frequently, you just need the saturation. It's back.
It is. And hey, it works well with Turbo.
It's good. I really like the card. It's good to have good dense block cards early on.
I will say also
manipulation.
Just as a kind of coda on the previous thing about the Streamline, the thing that really pushed me towards the Streamline is I still do want individual damage for the upcoming elites. However, we have that fight there, this shop, and another fight. That's also why I ended up choosing to go instead of the question mark to the fight, to try and find it.
Yeah, smart.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, wow. We both saw the relics at the same time, I think.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
Okay, but
is it more realistic to go like, yeah, right? Is it more realistic to go Bag of Preparation, Clockwork Souvenir, and the Flash of Steel?
Yeah, or like Bag of Prep, Clockwork, Card Remove, Bag of Prep, Clockwork, Rebound. Can you afford a Defragment there? I think you can.
Yes. Yeah. Defrag
I think the Shuriken is bait.
Well.
And Shuriken is so fun, and it's I feel it's gotten better with recent changes. You can certainly use it as defect, but Bag of Prep, I think, in a vacuum is worth like a pantograph amount of health. It's absurd how much health that will save you by just having 40% more cards on turn 1.
It is truly ridiculous. It could easily be draw an extra card in the opening hand, and I'd still be happy to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
I still feel
we should see
a little
another card now.
underprepared in terms of its damage. Yes, I really want to go here. We'll probably even
more
go
damage,
for the
more
upgrade
potions.
before the elite, just for damage upgrade again.
Oh, we can take that path. Nice. My head was stuck in the sand. I was still pathing us left.
I was still doing that as well. I only just realized that path was even a viability. Sweeping Beam has a 50% chance to draw Turbo for us right now.
That would be sweet.
Stinking Beam. Right. Defending, get a single zap out. I think we need it. No
Dual
frailty
cast
for me,
had
sir.
A 25% chance to save us 1 life, but then we'd be vulnerable.
We wouldn't have. We had the Clockwork Souvenir still at the time.
Oh, good call. Vulnerable this. Nice.
Vulnerable this. Oh! Oh! What?
We're
There
going
it is.
in, Raps. We're going in.
We're going
You
in.
know what? Does this mean we upgrade Zap?
Yeah, I really like upgrading the base cards to have the 0 cost themselves.
Right?
Yeah, it's totally reasonable. Let's do it.
Okay.
Upgrade
I
Zap
think
as
our
a
potions
priority.
are strong enough for Gremlin Knob right now. Power and Dupe. We just have to think if we need to use them. And here too. Like, do we want to use a power potion on turn 1, or are we going to be fine? I think we're fine. Defect probably has the best time of the classes. Starting deck Defect has the best time because of lightning sustained damage.
Yeah, because you don't have to worry. Okay, we've got that. We're not going to be waking the enemy up next turn. All for one
We could
goes into
EQ
the
here,
next draw.
Just
we
for
could
better draw fixing.
Exactly.
We're on the same wavelength right now. What the heck? We're like completing each other's sentences. How is that? I thought it was asleep. No, I'm awake.
I should have said sandwiches as soon as you said completing each other.
We're completing each other's sandwiches.
There we go.
I agree.
See?
That's so funny. Same brain.
Double strike out of that. I think we got the EQ in the next hand too. There it is. EQ defend and zap. Beautiful. We'll leave turbo for the next draw. We don't need it. Also, if we do in the top of the next draw get the all for one, we have the ability to bring it back. Speaking thereof.
Whoop whoop.
Sweeping beam, turbo.
Never be finished.
Turbo.
I think we won.
Yeah, we'll be completely fine with this. We take 15 damage this turn still, unfortunately, but it's the fact that we can rely on the consistent damage output of the lightning that makes that the play in my mind.
Yeah. My biggest worry is we do only have 28 life.
Would you like more than 28 life, Teak?
Oh boy, howdy. Would I? Yes, I would like to be able to heal in every fight. Plus, we want to keep taking fights. Bag of Prep is a very, very strong fight relic. So we want to take fights. And we're looking for more tools for All for One to bring back. My nose is so itchy. Actually, maybe I shouldn't say this and break the mood. Rhapsody knows this, but last week I had to do a bunch of yard work. And in particular, I don't know what the previous owners of this home were doing, but there was an infestation of poison ivy on my back fence. And so I spent a whole day pulling poison ivy, thinking that I wasn't allergic to poison ivy by some miracle, but like 90% of people, I am. So my arms looks like a war zone. Very
unfortunate.
Itchy. It's okay though. The Spire cures me. It's a salve.
It's a damn good one. Unfortunately,
it is.
I did...
It's calamine lotion for my brain.
Actually, I did split them a little aggressively there. I thought we were going to be under.
We've got healing now.
A little over.
We might be all right.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We get to 30 by the end of this. Elite fight on 30. It's not bad. Especially with another dupe pot.
Do you want a claw?
I kind of do. There's an awful one in the deck.
I actually think it's okay here. This is the kind of deck where I think it's okay. Like 2 or 3 maximum. And then we'll still want more actual card draw. All for One is card draw, right? It's simplest to just think of card return as a form of card draw, card generation as a form of card draw.
Yeah.
And that frees up our orbs in the in-game to potentially be focused almost entirely on block. Although, All for One's a good block engine, as we saw in our previous ladder streak with Force Field. Remember that? Oh, God, All for One Force Field is so dope.
And we already have a Defragment as well as a Self-Repair. We've got 2 powers in this deck. It's possible that that is a direction we end up going in. It actually also kind of like joins in, dovetails with the thing I was about to say, which is while we are going to be taking a couple cards that are going to be 0 cost, a really good companion piece of those is going to be very, very dense block. We already have 1 piece of that in the Equilibrium. We're looking for more pieces of that. A panic button that we can bring back with the All for One is a great idea, but other sources of 2 costs block would be good. Boot Sequence also really good. Yeah.
And we have Bag.
Bottle Lightning has the ability to put something in the opening hand. We could put the Zap, or we could put the Turbo there. The Zap would just be like fast power right now. The Turbo would be just make sure it's
opening
always
Turbo 7-card hand is strong. There's no doubt. Is it stronger than having the key here, though? That's the question. Turbo's also a common card. There's a good chance we'll take another copy.
I think it's still stronger than the key because it guarantees that the first All for One, unless it's at the bottom of first cycle and reshuffles, it guarantees the All for One has a turbo to pull back.
And you know what else it does? Bottled Turbo allows us to take and bottle a Meteor Strike.
We're doing it. Obviously, that's the game plan. I'm sorry, I just assumed we were just playing it around. Let's definitely do that. Ooh.
Okay, we probably have to use a potion in this fight, so which is it? That's the question. Do we are we able to win and just dupe pot self-repair?
I'm thinking about that, right? Because we have the 18 damage from All for One going out this turn. We have Zap and we have another Zap. So we've got 9 damage coming out from our orbs. 9, 18, 27
I have an idea.
total. Yeah.
Is it ever correct to not All for One this turn? And instead go Turbo, Strike, Zap, EQ, hold All for One, play it next turn to have another Turbo, and to potentially be able to bring back Claw? I don't know if that makes pushes us over some threshold, but it's a line because I think if we're careful in this fight, if we spend the 2 extra minutes to math it, it'll save us a potion. And it might save our life, but it'll save us a potion.
Mm-hmm. So the play where we do everything on turn 1, the difference is that the zap gets 3 extra damage in, basically.
That's true, and we don't worry about them scaling.
The alternative scales the enemy off of zap and turbo next turn, should they get recast.
Okay, that's probably better.
Yeah, I'm still leaning towards the full cost, full tilt first turn.
Can we have one more elite after this. Is it the empowered elite? It is, right?
Yes.
And it could be Lagu, or it could be Tri-Sentries, both of which are fights to where that power potion is probably pretty good. And so we'd rather win this one using a dupe pot if we can. And the question is, what's the strongest way to do that? Dupe dual cast is really a lot of damage.
It is.
And if we can get to that threshold of 32 or potentially 36, then that's money.
We can get pretty close. This turn is the 27 by base. If we also use the turbo and throw out the 2 strikes, it's 39. It pushes us pretty close in that direction. I like this. Let's go.
I think we can just do it. I think you're right. I see the line.
There's no reason to want to cast these later. No. And no reason to want to EQ.
I love that bottled turbo, dude. It was a money play.
Ooh.
Yeah, we win. If you dupe pot dual cast here and then strike.
I know. I'm just looking at that self repair like.
Yeah, actually, is it possible?
Right, so you have 9 damage at the end of this turn. If we dupe a dual cast, we have 3 damage at the end of the turn, but we have 2 copies of 16 going out, so that's 35 on the enemy. So we have to throw 2 strikes for the kill. So it would be dupe pot a strike if we wanted to get a single self-repair out, which is just not happening.
Which
not with the Emerald Elite coming up next.
I don't think so, right? We have... Consider this play as having played the... Okay. Which one of these 0-cost attacks do you want? Really, we don't need to take any. We just picked up a mummified hand. Our whole deck is 0 cost.
I'll tell you which of them I want, Teak.
The leap?
I want dense defense in between all of these
Dense
other
fence.
cards.
You don't want your all-for-one to bring back 5 cards to you right now? That's so much tempo.
I feel like there are better cards it can bring back than another Beam Cell or another Claw, but if we want to take another Claw, this is when we take it.
Yeah.
I'm
we should take this
with
Claw,
it.
Rhapsody.
Okay.
I actually think this leap is really good. I just want these claws.
It's fine because there's a lot more commons in the. Ugh, why? Why do you have to do this?
I have an idea.
Equilibrium and just wait for the sweeping beam with Akabeko. Yeah. It's not a bad idea. It's just getting weakened makes it feel a little bad.
Oh, are we getting weakened?
Oh, okay. It doesn't feel bad at all anymore. In fact, it feels quite good.
Nothing feels bad.
Everything's beautiful and nothing hurt, Teak. Ah!
Well, we can kill some stuff at least.
We can kill some stuff, but also, wah!
Also wah. No, there's no doubt that there's some wah involved.
Definitely turbo as well.
We're gonna kill a lot of things.
Bring him back. Give him the business.
You are right that at some point between now and the heart, we're going to have to get a lot better at block.
Well, I mean,
a lot better.
Leap doesn't access that.
It can. If you take 2 energy relics and you've got things like Mummified Hand, I mean, it's 12 block. If you really are blocking for 12 or 13, if you're keeping the frail off and you're finding a little bit of dexterity, you can block the heart with that. We can just probably do better. Like that cold snap. Oh!
I'll tell you what, there was a snap involved in that.
Oh no, you know what? The hologram is awesome for us. Hologram all for one. We've now we just find madness, and we just win by being infinite.
I think
Infinite's
this
good.
one again
Oh.
will wait.
Do we need to play a power potion here, and/or focus?
Do we need to? They got extra HP. They didn't get regen. They didn't get metallicize. They didn't even get strength.
Yeah. We also do not have metallicize.
I don't think we need to. I guess we do have the ability to get 2 upgrades here if we play ultra defensively in this fight. And also, popping a potion when you have 3 is often a good idea because you often get another potion after a fight.
I would be... Well, okay, so what's our power potion space, right? I say pop a power potion, but really I'm thinking about other classes where powers are full of gimmicky answers to this fight. We don't have metallicize. We can't find that. There's no dark embrace here, right? We're finding echo form, which is really strong.
Electrodynamics.
We're finding electrodynamics, and then we just win. Although that would be great for the boss fight too. We're finding bias cognition, and then we also win very quickly. We're finding an unupgraded buffer. That's a little weird. Hello World actually is very good in this fight. Hello World is very good in this fight.
Let's do it.
But all of those things are also great in the... Ooh, yeah, GG. Those things are also great in the slime boss fight, but I think we dunk the slime boss.
Yeah, I'm not scared of the slime boss, and I also don't feel like the power potion would be how I would address the slime boss.
Maybe consider a focus potion there, or just a dupe. You didn't want to hologram the all for one to do this more times? Doesn't matter at all. There's just many different ways to skin the Sentinel. You didn't self-prepare!
We didn't self-prepare,
Rhapsody.
exactly.
Okay. This time?
This time Cold Snap? I'm keen. I'm not anti Cold Snap. It's just also I would prefer Glacier, cool-headed, chill. I would prefer every other source of it.
At least it's 1/10 of an energy.
That's true. That's true. It only
0.1
costs
energy.
0.9 energy.
That's above curve.
Okay, in terms of upgrades, I want to get defrag done as soon as possible.
Yeah. And then I'm still liking sweeping, although next act, the self-repair will be really nice. Ooh. Yeah. What else? Upgrade all for one, upgrade hollow eventually. Although I tend to not be very aggressive on that upgrade.
I want a dupe pot.
The what?
The sweeping beam.
And do 21 or 20.
20 AoE. Yeah.
20.
Because I want to try and kill
just...
all of them this turn, or at least as many of them as possible, because we haven't got much defense available. And with Claws, Turbo, and All for One, as well as 2 draws from Sweeping Beam, I think that's quite likely.
It's pretty good. Play the self-repair. Dupe the sweepy. And then we'll win, because Turbo, All for One, we'll win.
Turbo, we Claw for 1. Bring that back. There's our kill. Cool.
I think that was worth. I agree.
Yeah, it might have been a bit hasty, but I still think it was okay. Hologram, auto shields, and another, or the first, rather, double energy offered to us.
I want more hollow. Especially with bottled turbo. Our first draw is overwhelming. The enemies are beginning to unionize at this point.
And good on them, frankly.
And good for them, exactly.
I think especially with All for One as well as 2 holograms in the first cycle, the turbo upgrade makes a lot of sense here, especially considering we're quite likely to be about to draft something quite expensive.
I hope we do. I hope we do, because we're looking for something to take this solid core and make it bigger. It just needs to get bigger. Are we going to want to focus pod in this fight, or are we going to be just fine?
I think we're going to be fine.
This is also not Ascension 20, which is a big deal.
It's very true. It could be.
I cannot say the words.
15,
We've talked about this on a previous
12.
run about mental triggers for certain phrases to certain songs or certain words to certain songs. I cannot say the words big deal without hearing Yolandi from D'Ontverd singing to me, which is like really tough because big deal is a thing that you say and hear a lot. And I love D'Ontverd, but that's a lot of Yolandi in my head all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big deal.
Peak has been listening to, or rather, Peak was listening to D'Ontverd for a really reasonable period of time. I think he stops because this. I hope I have the right artist in my head. I think he stops because of like a homophobia kind of thing, scandal-ish thing. But then he started listening to Russian artists, Russian kind of like rappers as well, that very much had a similar kind of vibe to D'Ontverd.
Yeah.
And all of the lyrics are in Russian, so he doesn't know what any of them say. And he's like, I'm not looking them up. I'm not looking them up. I like this song.
Yeah. I hope not. I hope not, because I do really like them and they do seem.
I easily could have the wrong artist. So as long as we don't claw here, here's my play.
The Zeph.
Equilibrium defend. We will take 20, right? Not super chill with that. But next turn, we have claw, the claw in hand. We have all for one as well, and we have a hologram.
Yeah.
It seems like that's a way to get a much better split than currently trying to go for the claw and then surviving as best we can against the next.
No, I think it's a really strong line. I think it's our best line. I agree. Because now we just get to go ham.
Claw for one, claw for two, claw for two of them back.
Are we going to self-repair or cold snap?
Cold snap. More damage.
Cold snap, right?
Just want better damage on the
This
split
means-
and also good frosts for us.
Actually, with only one lightning orb, we might be able to cycle back to that, and we have a hologram. Right, so we could like hologram self-repair if we really wanted to play it. Not that it's not as much effective health because of the 75% heal, but you know, it's a thing.
It's still worthwhile, especially here where
Yeah.
there was nothing else even to do on that turn, and we have most of our
Right.
defense coming out from the frost already.
Well, I guess there we could have hologrammed the all for one, and that would have been a very strong turn. But we're gonna just decimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Confirmed for decimated.
Decimation
Nice
complete.
farming nunchaku. Nice, nice, nice. You
Our
should
cup
probably just click on the
runneth
card that
over.
says bias cognition.
But T,
Yes.
we generate energy with all of the claws from nunch. There is a lot of me that's looking at this all for one, and it's like we have a non-negligible amount of scaling on claws if we take.
No, it's
the
really
all for one.
good. It's really, but this is the thing about the bias cognition here that makes me certain that it's the right play, and it's very rare for me to have this kind of certainty. And I absolutely think the other two cards are great, and we could use them. Bias cognition gives you focus, and focus can make block or damage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need is the flexibility to be able to take our Act 1 monster and turn it into an Act 2 answer, an Act 3 survivor, and an Act 4 winner, right?
Yeah.
And so being able to say, I can make lots of block, or I can transition into using these spaces to scale up damage very easily. Yeah, this card is very good. We also already have the clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
If somehow you could guarantee me that we were going to get madness, that might convince me that all for one is the play.
I
That
can't
might
guarantee
convince
you
me.
of that.
Then it would be awesome though. It is really good, right? It's very clearly good. Or like we're gonna get Snecko or something. But
In a world where
does this disappoint you?
It does. To be entirely honest, it does. And
Yeah.
it's because this is a deck that is already really happy to take another all for one.
Yeah.
And it will be happy, like invariably at some point, to have the bias cognition. Obviously it's already really happy to have it, right? But like with a cold snap and a zap, as well as the all for one bringing back the zap being our only kind of generation in the deck at the moment.
Yeah.
Although again, we are going to get it. I'm not saying we're not going to get it, but there is a large amount of me that's looking at that awful one, and I'm like, oh, but it plugs into so many of the pieces already in the deck.
Can I talk about joy? Do you know why
Yes.
this doesn't disappoint me, actually? So we talk about in other games, we talked about a lot, actually, in the Monster Train ladder streak, the idea of building a toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
And taking answers to different kinds of problems, right? And one of my favorite things at playing Slay the Spire at a high level, and a lot of these games at a high level, is shoring up your weaknesses and recognizing when you can just smooth out the curve of your deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in many ways, taking the all for one is saying, I'm only going to do this one thing and I'm going to push it all the way. And I really like those moments when I break out of tunnel vision. I'm like, wait, I can successfully all for one for a lot longer if I just make sure not to die from this challenge, and this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that with bias cognition. And so for me, it's kind of like there's a lot of joy that I derive from being willing to make the utility pick. And then you get to do even more of the really cool thing because you're going to be alive to do it.
Yeah, that is the thing that kind of like bridges the playstyles. Like I would very much like to try and get something nutty like the double all for one claw.
Yeah.
But if we
this
don't
deck is going to be nutty, to be clear.
Oh yeah, 100%. Look at this. We're not even talking about that just yet. I'm not going to skip them, but I'll say here, last word on the all for one. If in our deck, by the time we saw that all for one versus bias cognition, if in our deck we had at least one force field, even just one force field,
yeah,
I think I actually would have argued for the all for one, like, very hard.
Respect too. You can win with that, 100%.
I want the runic pyramid like real bad.
Yeah, it's correct. It's just there's a world. It's funny. There's a world to where we didn't upgrade Zap and we didn't take 2 claws, and I think it's Snecko.
Mm-hmm. It could well have been, but for this one, it will be the old runic pyramid.
Runic pyramid's great, and it may be at it's strong on every class, but it often feels that it's at its strongest on defect to me.
Mm-hmm. We have 2 different max elite paths. This to this to this.
Ooh, that's no fires.
Wait.
Hey, we have self-repair. We can do that.
Either of these out to here. In fact, even this out to here. 2 fires in the midline.
Oh,
2 fires in the midline.
That's a nice path, because getting at least one upgrade, or frankly, just to upgrade self-repair, we can take so many fights, and should probably.
Here's a pitch earlier that though. I want to go for the 2 question marks leading into the shop.
Okay. What are you hunting?
Events. Library. Library in particular comes to mind. A relic for a shame comes to mind, especially because we have the removal immediately thereafter. Because we have the runic pyramid, obviously cultists, the ritual dagger would be particularly good as well.
Nice.
It just seems to me that there's like not many whiffs in events here, and
I really like the call on ritual dagger.
I feel pretty comfortable about that. And then the whiffs here in the question marks in my mind are getting normal fights, and then we're fine with it anyway, right? Because we were going to take a normal fight instead. Wraiths, yeah, pretty much always happy to be a wraith. Would we want to be a vampire? I mean, we've still got 4 strikes in the deck. We could be a vampire.
I don't think I would take it.
Honestly.
Really?
So there is one thing I really love about defect and being a vampire, and that is a lot of the time, if you have decent focus as well as a frost source in your deck, you can set yourself up in a fight such that you can just stand there and take a full life.
It's true.
From the enemies.
Yep. Yeah.
And a lot of the time,
the reason I probably wouldn't is because self-repair is such a strong force of sustain that the bites will probably be superfluous for hallway fights. And so at that point, we're only saying this is for bosses, like we're going to overheal on bosses. But then you've bloated your deck a little bit and you've lost max HP, and max HP is also buffer for bosses. So I like bites a lot when you don't have any sustain, or when you're sure that you're going to get a lot of utility out of them in hallway fights too. And I think this deck is going to blitz hallway fights without needing to bite.
If it sets up in a boss fight as well, it's not going to need to take any full healing after that, because it will already be fully set up in that fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to start putting
Runic Pyramid just being awesome.
It's so good. Oh, And the turbo is
birds.
just always available for the first All for One, no matter what.
Yep.
All right. Gosh. I'm trying to think of a world where maybe we actually Sweeping Beam, hologram back the Sweeping Beam, use the Sweeping Beam again. Because then we have the ability to put everyone on the ground with a claw, All for One, and another claw.
Yeah. That seems like a winning line. You just try to leave us in a position to self-repair, and we're in the money.
So bright and sunny, we got a lot of what it takes to get along.
We still get to All for One too. It's like you haven't denied yourself any line.
Yeah.
You can do it all.
All of those. That comes back. You know what? Yeah, we can do this.
You gonna maybe don't zap?
Just trying to make sure that I have enough cards out of
Clear
hand.
hand. Yeah.
Don't need to use anything else there. Ideally, we
Only
kill the
7
enemies
cards left in
without
the draw,
using
too.
another attack so that we can keep the Nunchaku.
Can I talk about this
Please do.
overlay thing that you've done? It's so nice. I really like this setup actually.
I cannot take credit for this. This was done by Oscar. Can I quick? Let me just quickly check off to the side.
Sure.
Oscar. I don't have any more of the screen name than just the name Oscar. If I disable streamer mode, can I see it?
Thank you, Oscar. It looks really good. Seriously. I
Hmm.
love that we can be where we want to be on the screen, and then it just looks very native. You know,
Mhm.
It's like they belong there.
Deeply, deeply appreciated. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any more information on the screen name, but thank you so much. We'll definitely draw it
Smart.
next hand.
Very smart. And we have Nunchaku on 9 too. Oh, beauty. Some cards.
We have a lot of focus already available for us in the deck.
We do.
Which suddenly means that loop double dipping is a double dip. Like a double dip worth contending with. It's also worth noting, White Noise being a random power that costs 0 per turn, and then makes something else cost 0 from Mummified Hand, is not hard to add into this deck.
It's energy. That's true.
I'm
It's
leaning
really
more
not.
towards
And
the loop, though.
I think it basically comes down to... It comes down to more than this, but the big thing that comes to my mind immediately as kind of a way to frame this decision is, are we going to be able to upgrade this? If we think the answer is yes, then loop is much more takeable. But if we're so constrained on upgrades that we can't, at that point, a capacitor that gives you 1 orb slot, maybe you just take the White Noise. Because White Noise can be Echo Form or a buffer, and will be part of the time, below cost and improving the rest of your hand, right? Or even the Ball Lightning. Like, if we thought that we were just this close to being really effective in Tri-Slavers, upgraded Ball Lightning with all this, it's really good. It's just, I think the Zap train with All for One is probably enough.
Yeah, that seems like an easy enough, especially with the Runic Pyramid, so we can guarantee that we get the Zap back for the first time in the first cycle, because it's already 0
The key
cost.
is that if it's the 22nd card, then we are kind of in trouble.
Yes. I like loop still. Kind of want to take it.
Yeah.
Got 2 upgrade opportunities in midline as well. I looked at the deck, and in terms of things that I desperately want to upgrade, Bias Cognition, loop. I do want the holograms upgraded at some point so that we get them in the second cycle, but at the same rate, they're not a super high priority of mine. Dual cast
now
to
it
get
feels
it back
like we
from the
don't.
Alpha one.
Oh yeah, that's true. Right now it feels like we don't have to upgrade self-repair, which is nice. Hey, more max HP is not so bad. And we have a self-repair. We're effectively using max HP. Dreamcatcher. Sure.
Yeah,
like
I
key
think
here.
this is the key.
Just because I don't think we're resting.
Not
really
often at the absolute least. Okay. Well, good. I like it. I really want Capacitor.
You know what I really want?
Does it go for the eyes?
Yes, that on sale go for the eyes. It is rare to have a defect that's good at cutting through artifact in the end game, and we can do it because we have 2 holograms and all for one and the runic pyramid. And if we're looking for ways to be able to survive heart damage, consistent source of weak is really good and pretty rare to be able to do on defect. So I rate that card here very highly.
If on this floor as well, we're looking for a way to survive against the stabby book, the sharp book, it's a really, really useful tool in that too. Depends on the turn, but depends on the turn in terms of the runic pyramid. Doesn't really matter to us, but it'd be really good against the gremlin leader as well. There's just everything pushing in that direction. We could also consider possibly a war paint. I'm not sad with upgrading defense. If it hits holograms, I'm pretty happy about that. Hits equilibrium, I'm jazzed. Hits dual cast, I'm just gonna like fly to the moon and back very quickly, so you won't see it happen on camera.
This shop is really dense is the trouble, because like I also think stack is incredibly good as a card in general and will be very good here. I think removing strikes is super high priority, and if we want to be certain about our fight against tri-slavers, there's a flex pot here. Flex pot right now for us with bias with clockwork is like that wins the fight very directly.
Gosh.
I know.
I'm still leaning war paint. We've got focus for that fight, possibly.
Can I see our count? Can I see it? May I?
Sure.
2, 3, 4. Defend.
For which?
Q. Oh, yeah. Duel. I'm just counting hits. Hollow.
So it's half defense, half non-defense.
Okay. And even hitting defense is far from the end of the world.
Thank you.
That's a good hit. I am hungry for removals. I feel very strongly that removing strikes is something that we want to do, and like fairly desperately.
Zero costs out of the hands. Another strike. Who needs a hologram anything here? Should we throw the defend? Open up space in hand? Because we're eventually going to need the space in hand.
EQ is super funny now, isn't it? Yeah, we should throw a defend. Excuse me. Because now EQ is like this super expensive leap plus, basically, since we have runic pyramid. But at least it's a leap plus plus.
Yeah, it's just dense enough. We don't get great returns this turn yet. I think it's just equilibrium, claw, defend. Throw cards out of hand.
Yeah. And then hold and go ham next turn. Okay. Hopefully self-repair, ideally.
That'll do it.
Are we going to be doing block hologram kind of things?
I don't think we are. We have turbo. We have hologram, and all for one here. So we can play claw how many times? 1. It gets the 5 damage. So we know that's the base for it. And then the all for one, so 10. And then we get 2 more claws out. Sorry?
Here's that fight. We haven't seen Zap yet.
Not seen Zap yet, no.
Yeah.
So it's claw, hologram, claw, all for one, claw, all for one, claw. So we're playing.
We get to do turbos along the way, so we can like bias cog dual cast. There's a lot of damage in this hand. It's especially because you get to hologram all for one twice. Yeah, this wins.
Yeah, I'm not going to calculate it past this point because I was like, the 2 holograms bring back an all for one, and that's 20 damage against the enemy. And you're telling me the claws aren't going to meet that? You're wrong. It will.
Yeah.
And then the amount.
Make sure we have enough space.
The 0, 3. Okay, so 3 in space is already fine.
Boom. I think my brain had also like unprocessed the fact that we'd already played self-repair. So I was looking to see how we could like perfectly survive the turn to get to the next hand, but we've already played self-repair, so we're set up.
Another defrag? No, not with the capacitor and loop in the deck. And a mummified hand? Still no?
We have so much upgrade debt, dude.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do.
I think I might take this ball lightning. I just want one more thing that makes an orb that kills enemies. Unless we're confident in our ability to quickly kill enemies with not orbs.
Well, with the amount of setup we have in the deck, occasionally our first hand will just be a bunch of powers and not really much else.
Exactly.
I kind of want to hold out.
For what? For what?
For a different way to add orbs or different orbs. I want, like, Doom and Gloom. I want... I mean, I would take Tempest. Even. I would really happily take Tempest even.
Yeah, that would be quite good.
Do
you not like ball lightning? I feel
It's
like
not
it's like an S tier common, I think. It's one of the very, very few common attacks that I think is consistently good through the end game, which most commons you have this gambit where you have to say, I take this now, I need it now, but eventually it's kind of clutter, right? And ball lightning never feels like clutter.
I'll tell you what's happened is I saw an awful one and we've got 2 claws in the deck, and immediately my brain is like, this is
more
thin.
attacks.
This is thin. you run this thin, Raps. That's how you do this.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you're jumping.
But the thing is, we have to continue building, right? So I'm trying to come back around the other way, which is we are going to have to find increased ways to defend ourselves by the time of the heart. This is just not going to count by then. And so if we are going to be continuing to add more cards to the deck, then I need to be a little bit lighter about my no more cards. No more cards until we find the right one.
I think if we weren't pathing through triple elites here, I would be able to skip. And I actually agree that there's an end game to where we wish we don't have that ball lightning. Like, this might be one of those runs to where every card that's not our core strategy of doing this loop of cards is weight, right? But we do have to get through this fight. And in this fight, if we fail to find that zap, we're going to be really thankful for this ball lightning.
Good equilibrium.
We should start.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
But my zap. All zap.
Yeah, this is why we took a ball lightning. So we were golden. We just have to play it.
All for 1, 0 cost. Nice. 1, 2. We turbo all for 1. Is there ever a world where we hollow equal? No. Well, maybe after this, actually. Alright, I'm thinking like hollow back equilibrium. Play the ball lightning. So it's 4 energy expenditure. It's not really holding anything in hand, but it's defending us this turn effectively.
And are we drawing into the other hollow still?
Nope. It was in the first hand.
Gosh, if only we had like 1 0-cost block card, right? Wouldn't that be nice?
You're really good. We'd only be playing one attack this turn as well.
What if this is just ball lightning, defend, and hologram the all for 1, and then pass? We take a little bit of damage, but we mostly heal it off, and then we're in a much better position to close.
Yeah, I like having a much better position to close. I was looking at the draw pile there, and I was just seeing there's not the amount of damage in here that I need.
Is there? Can you fill this for me, please?
Oh,
I'm in Australia.
Sure. Let me just Oh no! Sorry, my cup has started fading out of existence. It's fine. Pour. There we go. That's the sound of pouring, by the way. That's good Foley for it.
Thank you. I wish that I were in a position, like, I wish I had the prop set up to pull back something completely different. Like, it came back as Kevin. You know, it's like a plushy animal when it comes back instead of a mug.
Yeah, filled you up. There you go.
Oh, wow. It's a whole flamingo. Incredible. How did you do that?
That wasn't what you meant? This is very much like a... What do you have behind your back? And it's not a cactus? No, I have the files, Michael. This is a cactus. Alright, so... Woo! Ooh.
These are nice cards.
How much conviction do we have about that whole Tempest sitch? Because I want it bad.
I think it's really definitively solid here. And it has a double purpose, which is we have Runic Pyramid, In the world of Runic Pyramid, X cost cards get better because you can wait to use them on the right turn with the energy, but they have another thing that makes them better, and it's recycle.
They also have another thing, but I like to recycle as well.
Even more?
When you have Runic Pyramid, double energy and an X cost like Tempest that is often used to end a fight, having also Turbo and the ability to access the Turbo multiple times in a fight with the Orphan one, obviously the 2 holograms, gives you the ability to oftentimes set up a turn if you know what enemies you're up against, and obviously you don't have second phase or anything like that, to set up a turn where you just blow them up. Especially with the amount of power we have in the power focus rather we have in the deck, I think it's kind of
it's a lot
reasonable.
of power too. I feel 200% better about our electricity generation now too. I'm really, really glad for these last 2 picks.
That's also kind of pushing me very, very heavily towards anything that just base increases focus. So I want Bias Cognition first.
Loop. Yeah, I like those upgrades. I'm excited to have more max HP as well. This is the last floor where we can safely face swap. This is literally the last floor, which is incredible.
But we cannot safely do it.
Why?
Because if it gives us the Gremlin Mask and then the Gremlin Mask starts messing with the Clockwork Souvenir, suddenly our plans around the Bias Cognition are worse.
Yeah, it doesn't have to last forever. You're right. That is a very sad outcome, isn't it? So, okay, so here's a break. Is this a good time for Spire Facts 101?
Let's
Spire
do
mechanics?
it. This is a really good event to talk about.
This event says 50% good face, 50% bad face, but what it really means is 40% good face, 40% bad face, and 20%
best face.
Great face. That's right. There are 2 bad faces. One of them empties your next chest. Fairly sad. You've taken an event, and not only did you get no value from it, but you've denied yourself future value. That's a rough event. One of them is you start a fight with weak, which is usually actually not that big of a deal. Even though turn 1 is super important, it's just 1 turn of weak, you can play around it. Astutely, Rap says, well, does that interact with Clockwork Souvenir? Does that lose us our artifact? And I actually don't know the order that resolves, but I suspect you're right. I suspect our Clockwork Souvenir is just nullified by Gremlin Visage. The face of the Cleric gives us 1 max HP every fight, which is pretty nice. Stacked on top of Singing Bowl, we could be the defect with 115 life when we get to the heart. Mask of the Serpent is like one of the best relics in the game. It says every time you visit a question mark, you get 50 gold. 50! 50 is a huge number. That being said, I think you've convinced me that this is the wrong time for good face bad. Oh, and then there's Mask of the Cultist, which makes you caw at the beginning of every fight. A very important ability. Yeah, I actually think you're right. I think we do just take 75 gold here. I think
the one of the second things that push me that the direction is Cleric, obviously, really good, right? So 20% chance we get Cleric. Serpent Mask has no extra value on this floor, and because we're going Max Elite next floor, we may also be forced into another path that doesn't have much question mark value, at which point it's possible it ends up giving us maybe 100, maybe 150, and I'd rather take 75 today than 150 tomorrow.
Yeah, and the HP shouldn't matter because we're healing fairly aggressively, even with the elites. So, but the whole reason that I set all that up was to explain why I said this is the last floor that we could take this safely. When you are streaking, you have to make sure that you can always get the keys. And if you get the mask that empties your next chest, Noloth's Hungry Face, it also empties it of the key. And so if you're past the second floor chest, the second act rather, floors, acts, you can end up putting yourself in a position where you cannot go to the heart. Now, we already have the blue key, so we would be fine all the way up to floor 49, even though it won't show up there. But there are many runs to where I've had to skip this event because there was a chance it would deny me the heart.
Yeah, occasionally that'll happen. I think that happened to me one time on a particularly successful Ascension run. But
really?
I've been ignoring the face trade a lot of the time because to me, Gremlin Visage is often really negative. Because a lot of my decks are trying to front load the ability to take a certain enemy out immediately and then kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not acclimatize, like level out.
Stabilize.
Stabilize, thank you. After having taken the first out and then just going against the second.
That
or
makes
third,
sense.
if that happens to be the case.
The bad masks are certainly not great. Especially if you can get in Act 1, the good masks are so good. And if you aren't doing something like mask elites, Freudian masks, if you aren't doing something like max elites, then you get Mask of the Serpent's mask, and then you just path through question marks. You just take as many as you can. It's now the best thing you can do. Like, I don't know what the money value of a question mark is usually, but when the money value of a question mark is whatever it was plus 50 real cash now, it's that's such a is that one of the strongest relics in the game? It must be.
It definitely has to be. It's so much money.
It's so much
I mean,
money.
I guess it depends on your character as to whether or not the cursed idol turning into the bloody idol is, or golden idol turning into bloody idol is stronger.
Bloody idol's great. I mean, in general, positive event relics are very good in this game. I mean, consider that every book from the Reading Rainbow event is fantastic.
Why did I do that to myself? Because it's full defense
the nunchaku.
anyway. I don't need to get rid of that. So now I need to play a bunch more claws to even it out.
Yeah, but we're good at that. We love playing zero costs. Nice fight. Thank you for healing.
That goes out. No problem.
Beep beep.
All right, so
Game set match.
we get to 8. It's pretty good.
Essence of Darkness is nice. This barrage ain't bad.
It's not bad.
This
It's
stack ain't
non-zero. It might be 36 damage in a single energy. It will take a bit of setup, but we never miss it because we keep up the Runic Pyramid if we're not going to be using it in that turn. I don't really want to overgo with claws because the hand where we draw 3 claws is a sad hand.
It is.
It's up against the stack, and I'm not sold on the stack, but it wouldn't miss its opportunity for being very, very dense defense for us a couple turns down the line, admittedly. Because it feels like by the time stack is good for us, we have power online and we have some frost online.
That's true. And sometimes Runic Pyramid makes stack a little bit worse, actually, because you're holding cards, so you're not discarding them. So, but stack is very good. Like, just mathematically, if you think that a defend plus is a decent block card and elite plus is a great block card, then stack is one of the best block cards in the game, for sure. I might have taken the +2 health there, honestly. I think we're pretty good on damage at this point. And unless the Tempest is probably the thing that makes the barrage worth, because you can use it as actual front load. Like, we can sometimes play it on turn 1 or turn 2 and kill something, but otherwise I'm happy to start taking health and to look for those real in-game powers and orb generation.
It's definitely the thing that I'm looking at, and I'm like, is that going to be the last attack I take? Because it's either the last attack I take or I'm not taking it. Okay, it's the last attack I take. Barring things like, a rare that I'm not thinking of, or a Doom and
Another
Gloom.
all for one.
Still.
I'm taking, like, there's a world where we take one more claw at some point. There's a world where there's some attacks that I think I take still, but not a lot.
So we are going to get weakened this turn.
Do you Essence of Darkness this fight?
Yeah.
Who's our boss?
I'm happy with that.
Like, are we worried about them?
It is the champ.
Chump.
I feel like we're going to be decently defended by that point. We may have to use a hologram to pull back a cold snap and may have to try and sit on a couple frosts at the same time, but I think we'll be ultimately fine.
If we filled our bar with frost and then just played claw, we could win that way against champ. Then in that case, I feel really good about Essence of Darkness here. I think it significantly reduces our risk and damage taken.
For each orb slot, so not for each empty orb slot.
It fills them all. It'll evoke this lightning.
It'll evoke the lightning. Okay. It will leave a dark in the front line as well. That's what I'm thinking. Like, does the ball lightning go out before or afterwards? I think it goes out before.
Okay. Let's strike it up. Nunchaku! Betrayal! No, we have turbo. We're not going to have energy problems. Yeah.
I'm not keen on the amount of damage we take. There.
This is fine.
So we have a ability to pull back a ball lightning. That ball lightning kills the slaver by popping the dark orb at the front.
The zap kills the slaver.
Oh, it do, don't it? Get him.
We good. We've solved that problem. We just get to move on to the next one.
I think then Hollow brings back a defend.
Okay.
Because this fight is already solved by, just waiting as well as dual cast, so it feels like we just want safety. Want to walk out of this fight with as much HP as we can.
Agree. I want an echo form. I want an echo form.
That would be nice. It'd also be a lot nicer than the current hands being offered to us. Oish.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Well, nothing to do about it.
Except for strike. Just hit him.
Get got.
Get got. We do have another fire, don't we? Although, really would be nice to not use it. So here's Barrage existing.
Let's pull all those back. Then get a single zap out and use the barrage to kill the frontliner. 1, 2. Sorry, kill.
Boom. Tough fight, man. Tough fight.
Tough fight. Oh, another thing to manage that can betray us. All right.
Like, we have to be careful, right? Because you see the hyper beam and you're like, we just got destroyed by Tri-Slavers. I want hyper beam.
I mean, we only have one more
honestly,
elite, and it can't be Tri-Slavers.
But it can be Gremlin Leader, And,
it can
certainly Hyper Beam is good in Gremlin Leader. Hyper Beam, we have 2 holograms in this deck. So a Hyper Beam as a draw, if we find it early, is guaranteed free Darklings fight. It's guaranteed free Jawworms fight. These can be very scary fights. Like, I don't think it's a bad utility pick here. It kind of wants to be upgraded. And ideally, we win those fights without having to take this Hyper Beam. Because, it's a little late. Like, it would have been nice to have it in Act 2, right? But
I don't really want it. And it is very much the competition between it and Bias Cognition, as well as the fact that it does desperately want an upgrade to be at full effectiveness against the Darklings and Shapes. Also, part of it is adding another card to the deck that not only doesn't defend us, but it's possible anti-defends us if we have to play it early on in a fight. Is a bit scary to me right now.
Like, I'm max HP.
I'm in the realm of possibly Leap or max HP. Literally just based off of the turns that we had there. We've got 4 defend cards. We've got a single Equilibrium. We have Cold Snap. And then we've got holograms that we really want to save for other effects. Yeah. We have very little defense in this deck.
We need to continue to spam fights. We need to take any source of frost that we can find. Those are the 2 things that I think we need to do.
Mind Frost.
You don't, and we can take leaps too. I wish it were upgraded, or it were a force field, or heck, a steam barrier. Like, it's just I think that there's a lot of other common and uncommon blocks for us right now. Wookie. Wookie. Turn 1 bias cog.
Hell yeah.
Snap. Pretty nice. And we can double cold snap too.
Can't necessarily do that this turn, but we will also. Oh, no, wait, we can, because that one was. Yeah, okay, cool. It's like,
if you want.
Oh, no, but I have to play a defend, but the defend was reduced cost.
Yeah, I don't know that it was necessarily the play. I have no idea.
I still really like it.
Excuse me.
God. There's no way I end this turn with a turbo, right? We do have 5 energy. Okay, let's think about this for just a second. This brings back Claw and All for One as well. So Turbo and a All for One. I would assume that I'm probably also going to be playing the Barrage, which means that the Turbo is really giving us 3 energy, but it's also disappearing. So it's 3 energy total, so this is 6. 6, and it evokes for 13, and we full defend on that turn, and then we have 3 8s going in for the next turn. I think we do it.
I would... my heuristic intuition here is that I would just defend, barrage, pass. We don't take any damage. It procs the bottle, and we get to see what we're looking at, and then we're in a position to maybe hologram and build a bigger Tempest. And like, weirdly, our deck is. It doesn't feel like we're running out of time because by the bottom of our deck, we will kill this boss. And so it's just a question of when we decide to pop all the cards. And now we have a turn where the all for one is free. Yeah, yeah. Now we can just win.
All for one brings back 3 things total, so we're totally fine to play it now. Okay, and then hollow back the all for one to do that again. Not really managing either of those there, but well, I guess I could. Let's manage it just a little.
Pretty good. Data disk. Wow. Consume. Wow. Steamberry. Wow. We should take the consume, right?
100%. Yep. Calling it now. Next boss is going to be Inserter, and this is going to be ridiculous.
I like it, and we should have enough energy to manage it. We need more orbs to generate. We've got all this focus and like orb stuff, but we like need orbs to put in the slots.
I would love Rainbow after this boss as well. It's seldom the opportunity that I look at Rainbow and go, that's exactly what I'm looking for, but I think I'm here.
I was looking at this turn's distinct lack of block cards.
I'm hoping we draw one from the ink bottle.
Yeah, right, yeah.
There you go. I guess we're not gonna...
Yeah.
I mean, we may end up using Tempest just to channel 1 here even.
I don't know, man. I would just hold it.
Really? We have 6 focus out.
It's champ, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess your consideration is use the things, get the orbs, push the fight, just try to race because we don't have a ton of block sources.
It's more just try to race because after this we're going to put frost orbs in those slots and then we're not really going to start cycling the orbs anymore. So if we're going to get any damage out of Tempest, we get it out of it now.
You have a turbo. Is that true? Like we can potentially produce 8 energy on a turn. And then Tempest. And that's what we're going to be at, like at that point we're going to be at like 10 focus. Those lightning orbs are evoking for 18 damage. I guess that's not enough to just kill Champ. Champ is just such a funny fight, right? It's like if you can put yourself into a position to where you suddenly do 210 damage, you win. But I agree with the Tempest play.
Ah, there we go. Cold Snap's in hand.
It's good.
It's what we're looking for right there.
That's good because we almost died. So I'm glad it is in hand.
We've got 6 and we've got loop. Hey, did we
not self-repair?
What? As in a previous fight?
In the previous fight, yeah.
No, I don't believe so. Oops.
Okay.
I need to keep my mind on that. Do we ever just Essence of Darkness throwing all of these? Because the Essence of Darkness has the loop out as well as decent focus, so we can put behind that a Cold Snap.
If we're worried, then yes, and I am a little worried.
Do we put out the Ball Lightning first? I guess it depends on what self-repair hits.
Yeah, yeah. See that hit?
Yeah.
So then yes. Cool. I think this causes us to win and not die, which is great.
I do like both of those. Winning and not dying individually. Both big fans. Okay, hologram back and just pull the original, the Cold Snap. Use Cold Snap.
Dual cast.
Oh, you want to pull dual cast and immediately go?
Not this turn.
Because we have EQ. The all for one will pull that, and also hologram will pull that. I wanted to tend to our defense first.
Okay, sure. I'm in. This wait. We face shifted, but we okay. Yeah, that's fine. You're right. Okay, we win. Play a strike.
Yeah.
Pass.
Like the opposite of scared right now.
Yeah. This accelerated the fight. We gold.
So we just have to make sure that we play at least enough cards. Okay, there's that. Then we can wait for that next turn still. So we just want to get as many cards out of this hand as we possibly can, except for the turbo.
So turbo and clear. Because the turbo will come back, so we can certainly play it if we wanted.
We don't have to play all of them, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
And now
23
Trader
by
Bottle
2.
can't try and draw us into a new cycle or anything daft like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's smart.
Turbo. Yes.
If we can get dual cast in hand, we win, right? That's
we
really
literally
all that
just
it comes down
hologram it and kill.
Yeah.
It's just, can we get more attacks out as well? I think we can.
We totally can. The All for One itself can be played.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll bring attacks back too.
How many? 0, 0, 0, 0, 5, 6. There's 6 of them in there. We can bring all of them back.
I will say, if we're focusing on one of our things over another, having Ink Bottle on 9 is way more important in this deck than having Nunchaku on 9.
Yeah.
But we can get it back to 9 here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We can do both. We can have it all.
So 2 attacks gets us, yeah. Then Hollow, but Hollow won't be able to pull that back again. So we can't use another All for One, which is fine. We don't want to play that many attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So Hollow brings back Turbo.
Yeah.
And then we can even All for One if we want to go into the new draw pile, which we're fine with because we have the dual cast in hand. We already have the fight solved. So that draws there.
Dude, I got scared on turn 1 when I realized the rate at which this run just lost. It was too high. It was too high. Oh man, super spooky.
Extremely spooky.
Cool cards.
Cool cards, but none of them are generating orbs. In fact, one of them is anti-generating orbs.
One of them can generate orbs for us.
Nah, it's true. A couple miles down the line, though. It is also good for the energy in the modified hand.
Yep.
I don't think it's bad.
I think this creative AI is good.
I also don't think it's bad. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I would probably take Bias Cognition over it here still. The big reason being that creative AI is like, so if we think about creative AI as kind of like a comparison to what we were previously talking about in terms of white noise, right? Obviously, it doesn't decrease the cost of the power that gets added to the hand to 0 cost, right? So it's not necessarily a mana bump consistently. We're often trying to play around holding the right 5 cards in hand so we have the space in hand to pull things back with All for One. And creative AI, a lot of the time, will be pulling a power that we don't necessarily care too much about. And sometimes powers we don't necessarily want to play. In a world where we have Dark Orbs that are involved so that we can try and do giant bursts, we don't want to play a bunch of Storms.
But
for me,
if you're just playing a bunch of Storms, you're just winning with a bunch of Storms, right? This is the reason why I think the creative AI is better than it seems on first blush, is when I think about the types of power spam that can be generated that are causing us to lose, we're actually just winning in those cases, just differently. The worst case is that creative AI just makes creative AI several turns in a row because it's so much loss of tempo. The second worst is that it's Hello World and we're kind of clogging on other commons, although commons can be things like Hologram and Turbo, right? So even that's not terrible. The best case is that it makes us an Echo form and then we're dramatically better. It makes us another Bias Cog. It makes us another Capacitor. I don't know that it's necessarily the pick. What I do know is creative AI Mummified Hand is undoubtedly powerful for us. And we are pre-Ascension 20, which means we only fight Awakened one a third of the time. And when we do, we can still just spam powers because they don't gain that much strength. So it's not like there's a hard counter to it. Really, the biggest fear is that anything which is not drawing us towards getting Frost online is increasing the variance of damage we take. And that might tell you that it's Fission.
I'm thinking about Fission, but it's the difficulty of generating enough orbs consistently and early enough to want to play Fission that is holding me off in that degree. I will say I'd be a lot happier with the creative AI if, I mean, obviously if we didn't have a still considerable amount of upgrade debt in the deck, but also if we had an energy relic. The fact that we don't makes me feel like creative AI is 3 on the turn and then a random thing. There is. It's true.
Right? Because there's only so many relics in the pool, and we've already seen quite a lot of the non-energy relics.
While that is true, there are also energy relics that if it's the only energy relic that shows up, we can't take. We can't take Velvet Choker. It's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too late. You're right. I think that would be a misplay. I agree.
How strongly do you feel about creative AI?
I just wish it were an echo form or a buffer. Yeah, buffer. Let's take bias or fission. Pick your favorite. I think either of them is better than 2 max HP. I just wanted to talk about why I think creative AI is potentially quite good here. Okay.
I think for me it's bias, and I think the big reason is because one of the things we're still looking to hunt is frost orbs, and one of the things we're still missing is consistent generation of block. So this to me solves a problem of wanting to finish a fight fast, and it also solves the problem in the interim of having to finish the fight a little bit slower.
And it's quite good for elites too, which we still have to fight. Bum, bum,
That's an easy cursed key in my mind.
You think so?
This is a lot more limitation. We're still looking for frost orbs. This is 2 removal in a deck that's already 30 large. Unless it's specifically removing things like normality, it's making such a small impact on the deck at this point. The cursed key giving us only 1 curse, probably. Yeah. Possibly 2, because we would still try and open 2 chests for the double trigger of Matryoshka. Or Matryoshka, rather. I still think it's the cursed key for me.
I like curse key here.
Cool.
I agree. I think it's
seems good. GG. That will get us to the 9 and 9 on both of the different kinds of bottle. These are just 2 very long bottles that are attached by a string at the top. They're 2 vials.
Are we taking this one?
The
cliffhanger.
We will see y'all in the next video, which is linked in the description down below and released 15 minutes after this video came out. So again, unless you watch this video at 6 times speed, it's already out. Link in the description. Hope to see you there.